Hey guys, I'm iminaBearSuit, and today we're taking a look at the concept of flexible damage, which is a way to gain a tactical advantage over your opponent, and when used correctly, drains the opponent's resources on over-defending, while you can spend the resources on attacking units instead. For the example game today, we're gonna take a look against me versus De Blanche, who is one of the premier Prismata players, and as you probably can see, this is a set with heavy blue units, so it's pretty apparent that both of us are going to get blue. So I'm just gonna get this replay starting, and it's just a really standard opening here from both players, where both players rush for the big blue stuff. So if you haven't seen this a lot of times, the second player usually can get these 3 blocks for just on turn 4 to get the first Omega Splitter or the first Drake, and then the first player had the advantage of getting these 6 gold extra. So usually we'll see either a Steel Splitter, Militia, a wall, or 2 drones in this case, or in normal cases. But De Blanche choose to get that 1 Militia, which is a fine choice, but yeah. You will see me here getting the first Drake out, and yeah, I go for the Drake. The opponent goes for, I believe he's gonna have to defend a bit here. He's looking to see if he gets the Drake, but he realizes that I can breach him for too much here, so he gets the wall and the Dune Mech, which is fine. I'm gonna actually get an Omega Splitter here instead of another Drake, which might be a mistake. And here we have the first way where you see how powerful the Drakes can be. So he has a total of 6 damage on the board, right? And then he can make that 6 damage come up to 8 damage. So while he will probably never attack for 6, he has the potential to attack for 6, which makes me lose an Omega Splitter. I mean, he has the potential to attack for 8, which would make me lose my Omega Splitter if I didn't buy this wall. So this flexible damage from the Drake allows him to having me to over defend with this wall. So I end up having to buying this wall instead of building another Omega Splitter and holding 2 drones back, which I could have done, and that was a mistake by me, but anyways, I have to over defend, which is the point. So you see here, he only attacks for 3 now that he realizes he doesn't have to breach me, which is sort of the way you do with Drake. So even though I have to over defend that turn, he didn't even have to commit to over attacking for the full amount. So he gained that additional gold of the Militia, and he keeps all this plus for just alive with the Drakes. Sorry about that. So he gets to build another Drake, and now he's threatening again 13 damage. So yet again I am in this position where I don't want to over defend, but I kinda have to over defend, because the moment I don't over defend, he will just commit all his straights into killing my Omega Splitter, and at that point I will just lose. So I'm going for sort of the same concept here with getting a lot of these grenade mechs to try to have him over defend as well. The problem is that at this point, since I went for the Omega Splitter instead of the Drake, I don't have that consistent damage every turn, which my opponent has. So even though my opponent has to over defend every turn, I'm only threatening 5 damage a turn, while he is threatening 7 or 8 damage a turn by just simply attacking. So from here on out, everything I do will eventually lose me a wall, but if you see here, he will just only lose an engineer when I don't attack with the full amount. So at this point I'm in this really awkward position where I have to build more walls than what my opponent has to, because I'm really scared of all this over damage that can eventually breach me. So you see me looking to go, so you see there, I built 3 walls, and my opponent only has to build 1 wall. And here the Blanche does this cute thing with this pixie, attacking for exactly 10 damage. Let's actually go back and see that one, because it's a pretty nice play. So, right here I have, well, one more. There we go. So, as you can see, I have almost all my defense in a multiple of 3, which means that if this engineer wasn't here, if he attacked for 3, I would, well, if he attacks for 6, I would have to lose a wall and then a Mega Splitter and not like have any remaining damage. But since I only have 1 engineer, he can attack for a multiple of 3 and then add 1 more damage, which instead of killing the engineer or engineer wall or Mega Splitter, he now gets to kill 2 walls and like gain an additional damage of the pixie. So, very good play, and that is something you should look out for if you have the time and if you're really good, like deep lunges. Like small things like that really benefits you in the long run. Anyways, you see me here just like in this awful position where I keep having to build walls while my opponent can build more attacking units. So, like, since I'm not building any attacking units and don't have enough damage consistently to actually breach him every turn, he doesn't even have to build more defenses. So with me spending all my resources on being super defensive, my opponent can just build more or like keep the same defense he has been relying on every turn and then get more damage. So you will see me eventually here just crumbling to this defeat where, since I couldn't keep up with his damage because I have to overdefend every turn and will lose a lot of stuff, I will just eventually just die to the amount of additional attacking units he get to buy. So what to learn from that is that well, like we sort of went for the same thing, but I made a huge mistake in that I forgot to gain like the amount of consistent damage you need every turn. I went too deep on getting the flexible damage without having the what can you call it, the consistent damage every turn. And you see this mistake a lot to doing with people that get a lot of frostbites or pixies as well, where they rely so much on all that those frostbites and the pixies that they forget to actually build enough damage to make the breach worth it. So for example, if you have like say 10 frostbites and then you like, haha, I finally get to breach, and then you only breach for 3 damage, right? Then your opponent will just be so far ahead because he will gain all that defense you bypassed 1 turn ago, and then it suddenly wouldn't have been worth it to breach or bypass it. But yeah, back to this game. The big difference here is that he got like the amount of damage he needed to actually kill a wall from me every turn, while I was just butting my head against this Doom Mech and all these engineers, which he made a really good point of, like, keep buying engineers every single turn. And this comes back to the like starting position here as well, that he managed to get that first militia out, which just killed 2 of my engineers. And these engineers are so good in this big blue mirror because all the units are like attacking for a multiple of 3, and engineers just really make those 3 HP units so much better when you're attacking for 3. Because like when my opponent attacks for 9, I'm like in this really rough space where I'm just like constantly having to like sacrifice wall, because my opponent can always like adjust his damage to be like the perfect amount. So you see him sacrificing pixies to get the perfect amount. He keeps his militia back when he can't do anything else, getting that additional gold. And then when he eventually like decides that I can't do, when I don't over-defend anymore. He just goes all in and sacrifices the blast forges and everything else. So, as you probably have seen from this game, is that this flexible amount of damage that the Avalanche was able to put up every single turn made me over-defend for so much. So, like, if you look at this number, I'm defending for 19 damage, and he is only attacking for 8, right? Even though his potential damage was 17, him attacking for 8 is just enough to get through all my walls every single turn, and that will eventually lead me to my defeat. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I hope you learned not to do the same mistake that I did this game, to like rely on this flexible damage without getting enough consistent damage to actually gain the benefit of having this flexible damage. So anyways, until next time, I'm iminaBearSuit, and thanks for watching.